Hello, everyone. I'm Captain Logan. It's time once again for the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. And joining me, as always, is my sidekick, Austin the Day Ghost.
And I just burnt my tongue.
Why? Well, how on earth did you do that?
I don't have water this time. I made a drink and it was way hotter than I
Oh,
expected
jeez.
it to be.
I thought you were like eating French fries or something. I was gonna be like, Austin, you know how people feel about us eating on camera, okay?
No, it's a good thing I was muted because I took a sip, went, ah,
I can tell
spilled it,
something.
and then just screamed obscenities.
Look, Austin, I'm very concerned about how much material we're going to be able to fill this particular stream with, so I need your mouth to work, okay? It's going to be really important. Rarely, I shouldn't say never, rarely have I felt like I needed a sidekick more than this evening.
So it's funny, like, you were like, okay, like, you meet yourself, we're about to start, and then as you do that, my mom texts me, she's like, oh my god, I'm watching Twisters, and the main guy in this movie is so cute, and I'm like, why did you text me that? Weird. I'm like, that's kind of like a funny thing, I'll mention that when we show up, and then that happened with my drink.
You know, it was a pretty uneventful few minutes before we started, and then all these things happened. Well, anyway, let's be slightly more professional. Do you need a minute? Do you need to go get something cold to drink, Austin?
No, I'll be fine, but if you guys want to see it,
we don't need to see your burnt tongue. Oh, look, he's got hot water all over him. Yes, Ensign, it's all over me.
It was a coolant leak, except the opposite.
Coolant leak.
It was a hottent leak.
Well, you gonna be all right?
Oh yeah, I'll be fine. I'm just complaining.
Hey everybody, tonight, welcome, thanks for watching live, thanks for watching after the fact, good to see you. Tonight, Austin and I continue the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project. We took last month off to do some horror stuff, but we have returned, and we had to take a break and stuff, but we have returned to tackle Batman Ninja, selected by a wheel, because we put a bunch of movies that Austin and I had on our top 100, which we are still doing. We're halfway through. Favorite superhero movies of all time list. If we feel up to it tonight, we're going to do some more of that right after the show. So stick around. There might be more late night streaming here on Geevolution this evening. But Batman Ninja was on my list and showed up on the wheel. And Austin, I've got the Steelbook for this, which is a really pretty Steelbook. I like the art design with this a lot, so this is one that I wanted to put in my collection when I found it for pretty cheap. I totally forgot I had the Steelbook. I was very excited when I pulled this off the shelf. I was like, oh yeah,
that's cool.
I updated with a cool release for this.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if any of these got Steelbooks.
Yeah, and I think when they initially came out, most of them didn't until more recently. Like I think the Tomorrowverse has had them more readily. This one I think maybe came out well after its initial release, but I don't know if I'm right about that.
Well, in the Tomorrowverse, the regular Blu-rays now have that Nintendo Power thing where the first few are starting to spell DC Universe.
Oh, and then
they get cut down to, they're like, okay, well now we're ending.
They abandoned that, which is unfortunate because then it got announced that's ending. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's why they stopped it, is because they were ending. They were like, oh.
Oh, I see. So, like, they thought they were going to get a lot more of them. I'm caught up now. I understand what we're talking about. But yeah, this one's cool. It's got Batman and Joker and Harley Quinn on the front, and then on the back, it's got a lot of the other villains, and then Batman again, the Samurai Batman. But anyway, so this comes out in 2018 and is a Japanese-American kind of collaboration to make an anime-esque movie. I say it that way because it's not a true anime in that it's not like somebody in Japan gets the DC license and they straight up do an anime, although it is written in Japanese in the first place. So it's a little bit closer to a truer anime than some of these things sometimes are, Austin. But then it gets rewritten by a couple of American writers here who have admitted that they changed a lot about a lot of the dialogue. A lot of the script is kind of different
Mhm.
in their versions. So if you, and I didn't realize this until today, or I would have watched it both ways. But I'm gonna turn on as we look at this tonight. I'm gonna turn on the English subtitles that translate from the original Japanese script to see what some of the
So
differences are, and I will talk about that as we see them. If anything really interesting pops up as we go.
you don't really have to. I don't think they ever properly subtitled it like that because I could only find it subtitled.
So I
And
looked into it, and my steelbook, in fact, does subtitle it that way.
oh, okay.
There
Because
there
I
are
heard they just subtitled it based on the English script, which I can really tell on my version because there's points where there's writing without anyone speaking, and I'm like,
yeah.
what? So I had to
So
look into it.
so they did the regular subtitle is that way, but there's a special feature that gives you the English based on the Japanese dub, and
Oh,
it
okay.
and it tells you that specifically on the disc that that's what it is. So I set it up that way, and I scrolled through and looked at a little bit of it here and there when I found this out, but I didn't have time tonight to completely rewatch it.
Mhm.
And there are indeed some pretty big differences here and there. I don't expect it to change the story much because the events can't change.
No,
You
the
know,
animation's still all the
the
same.
animation's all the same, but I am gonna put those subtitles on as I watch it this time because I'm curious about it. It's also interesting that there is not a regular Japanese audio feature in the regular audio tracks, but there's a special feature that does give you that. And I guess it makes sense that it's a special feature as opposed to just in the audio tracks because it would be a completely separate thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and I looked a little bit into like the cast and stuff for the English dub. I saw they had the Arkham Origins Batman and Tara Strong and Tony Hale as Joker, which I thought was crazy.
Yeah.
But
So did you listen to this in Japanese?
yeah.
Oh, okay. So I did not have that experience with it. I haven't listened to it that way. I did sample it a little bit, and it honestly it just matches better. Like it seems way cooler in the Japanese. It's probably a much better watch that way with just the English subtitles. Maybe I'll even since I'm gonna watch these. Well, maybe I won't. I was gonna because you're doing it that way. I guess I'll still listen to the English so that I can comment on that a little bit while we're watching it. I
Yeah, I looked to see if I could find the English one, but that was all I could get. So I was like,
Okay. No, that's cool that you did it that way. Because that way we've got the two different experiences.
mhm.
And we can talk about the. I mean, I guess we don't each have them to compare them to, but I was gonna say we can kind of talk about the differences.
Yeah.
Um,
No, because I was really worried. I was like, oh man, there's like, I don't want to show up to this review and we've essentially watched different movies because details are different. And then that's when I found out about the subtitling. But that's cool that they have that special feature.
yeah, I imagine Joker is less irritating in the Japanese version, but maybe not. His voice is really annoying.
When I like Tony Hale a lot, I can't picture him as the Joker, so I don't know what that sounds like.
He sounds like a blue meanie from Yellow Submarine. Kind of looks like one too. Not the actual man, I guess, but yeah. Roger Craig Smith. Oh yeah, I guess that is the one for was that from that Arkham movie or is that
That
who
was
was that
Origins. I
from
think it's
from
just
Origins? Okay.
Conroy in that movie, but I don't remember.
Oh, maybe it is Conroy in that movie. Okay. And then Tara Strong is a little distracting because this being an anime thing, you kind of want all the voices to be different, like,
Hmm.
or at least I did.
Yeah.
I
Or at least, like the Roger Craig Smith's done it like once, so it's not like you're super used to his Batman voice.
Yeah, and Grey Griffin is a really good Catwoman. She's very very traditional, but I don't know her from anything else.
Yeah,
I guess
that
she
name
she just
doesn't.
has a lot of like kids animation credits. She's done Daphne for some Scooby Doo stuff and things like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Isn't she Catwoman in the Arkham games?
Oh, maybe so. Maybe that's why that her name seemed or her voice uh, seem recognizable.
Yeah, I think she's changed her last name. I think that's why it like threw me off. Where I was like, I don't recognize that, like the Griffin part of it. But okay, that makes sense.
I don't know if that's her because it's not showing up on her Wikipedia page right away.
Okay, unless it just is straight up a different person that is also named Gray.
I'm not sure, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking it up.
So yeah, I'm bringing all this up right now because Austin and I are watching different versions, so a lot of the voiceover stuff we probably won't be talking about a lot through this.
Yeah, it is the same person.
Braden Atkinson, a lot of English dub voice actors absolutely suck. But this is a weird case because a lot of the cast here are people that are kind of usual suspects for direct-to-video animated Batman movies. So it's not exactly the same thing as going to English dub for Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they made this movie, it's a lot more like recording two totally different versions of it, as opposed to dubbing over a Japanese thing, which like is technically what it is in the animation side. But again, the script that was written for this for the English side was very, very rewritten. So
Yeah.
I imagine that kind of changes the production a little bit. But anyway, we should go ahead and get into this. Dan's Den, Gray Leslie is the name she usually went by.
Yeah, that's what threw me off. I was
Right,
like,
and I saw that, but yeah.
That's
I
all
just
good.
I didn't see that credit right away. I don't know why the Wikipedia page wouldn't put that up front because that would be one of the more popular things she was in. Looking at her other credits, I'm like that should be right in there. But okay,
Well, yeah, it's hard to say because, like you said, she's one of those actresses that's been in a million things. Like I don't even know what you would put as like her top things. Like that kind of makes sense. Like I could see it going either way with her in the Arkham games, but
yeah, but those games are more popular than anything on this list, and her voice is very recognizable in those games.
hmm I mean, the top thing would be the Scooby Doo thing, but she's been doing that for like 20 years, I think, at this point. But
But it seemed like kind of select things. Like she's not always the voice. But anyway, I don't know. I digress. Let's go ahead and get into this. So if you want to watch it with us, and we would recommend you do that, whichever version you want to watch. If you want to do the Japanese or the English, it's gonna last the same amount of time. Get it at timestamp 0. Get ready to press play when I say now. And Austin, just to be sure, since you're not watching this on disc, what is your time length on this?
an hour 25:16.
Okay, it's like 5 seconds off from mine, which is not crazy, so we should be fine. Yours, for some reason, is 5 extra seconds longer.
Oh, that's weird. There's probably just like black screen at the end of this.
Yeah, that's probably all it is. Okay, well, are you ready, sir?
Yeah, I am good.
Let's go ahead and get into it. This should be fun. Everybody, please press play right now. Oh, let me fix my audio here. I say that every show. So, Austin, I made a grave mistake since the last time I watched this movie, which was all the way back probably in 2018. I've seen this maybe twice, so maybe I saw this again like a year after. I can't remember. By the way, sorry, the like Japanese sort of like sword logo, like DC sword logo, is so cool.
Oh, it's great.
I want it in front of every animated movie. I don't even care if it has anything to do with Japan. It's so cool. Just give me Batman with a sword every time. I don't even care if it makes any sense.
That's why you like Arkham City, is you get to fight with a sword at the end.
Exactly. I liked the. I'll just say this real quick. I like the In Medias Res opening with this. It feels like we're watching the end of some other movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
I almost wish we got a little bit more of that movie, but then at the same time, so many of these things open with a big fight that you don't care about just to waste time. But then the movie itself will have plenty of that, so...
Well, we opened in the middle of a Brave and the Bold episode. It's another Gorilla Grodd episode.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But see, that would have been cool. And then he's in, like, the Doctor Strange mirror world for some reason. But I don't know, that would have been cool. Give me, like, a little 8-minute vignette. You know, that's only loosely related to the rest of the episode, like Brave and the Bold. I love all the purple. I kind of wish the whole movie looked like this.
Japan's just purple.
Yeah, but I no, I guess Gotham is. But yeah, so I made a grave error since the last time I watched this, Austin, which is I've seen some animes since then.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first watched this, I thought it was so wild and out there and crazy. And I've watched some animes, and it just feels tamer than it did before, and it also feels not quite like not as authentic.
Mm-hmm.
Like right out the gate, I'll say one of my biggest complaints with this is it kind of feels like it's trying a little too hard. Where it's like, here's the big Japanese tropes that the thing has to have, and then it comes up with a really cookie cutter plot to put all that together, and it feels like it's almost patting itself on the back sometimes. With, look how crazy and out there and super Japanese we are, and I didn't have as good of a watch with it this time, which is disappointing. I was very excited about this.
No, you were really excited to show me this.
And don't get me wrong, I don't hate it. I still had some fun with it. I still really like a lot of what it looks like and the designs and stuff. But I'm frustrated with it on a premise level.
Yeah, for sure. I guess, like, right off the bat, I'll just go into my animation thing, because we've already seen some of it, which is a lot of the background characters who don't move will look like animated in 2D, but everyone else is 3D, just cell shaded. And I'm not really a big fan of that look. We're probably going to talk more about this as we go along, but this is very much like a video game, and I feel like this art style would look better in a video game than it does in a film. I don't like hate it or anything, but it did take me a little bit to get used to it.
But it's one more, and I completely agree with that.
And I like all the designs.
The character designs themselves are awesome. They're made by the guy who did Afro Samurai.
Yeah, no, all the designs are great. It's more so I kind of wish it was just 2D.
Yeah,
but
I'm with you. But I do
get that about most animation these days. Anyways.
But I do get used to it real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's okay, but I'm just going to echo everything you're saying. If it's a video game, you wouldn't even think about it. The fact that it's that pseudo 3D to 2D thing is one of the like 9,000 things that distracts you the whole time and makes you wish it just was a video game.
Mm-hmm. No, I think if it was a video game that just looked like this, like that kind of like Beautiful Joe, cell shaded look, kind of like Ultimate Spider-Man, I think that would have looked really cool.
Yeah, it looks like Marvel vs. Capcom 3. You blew my mind when you said that off camera or before we started recording. Mm-hmm. It's so Capcom.
Yeah, and I wasn't even thinking about it like that, but yeah, you're right.
Well, Beautiful Joe, it's so Capcom looking.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always forget that's Capcom.
Yeah, well, he's
like bad with that stuff.
Yeah, he's in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have our hard time not just repeating that refrain through this whole thing. It's a video game in every way except you don't get to play it.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, 'cause there's even points where you're like, okay, now here's the level, and then okay, here's the cutscene at the end of the level, and then okay, here's now the next level, and then
you can tell exactly what the breakdown is. You can tell exactly what you're supposed to be playing, but you have to watch somebody else play it, and that's a little bit disappointing because it's not annoying just because it's very cookie cutter, and God, I love the Emperor Joker look and in front of the moon and stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's a great design.
I love his Japanese mustache.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh no, wow. That. Yeah, I wish I'd watched this ahead of time. This script is very different.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's like. Yeah, he just called himself Devil Lord of the Sixth Empire.
Oh, that's completely different.
Like, there's a lot more full-on feudal Japan ideas in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in this, he's just Lord Joker.
But yeah, so it's got a cookie-cutter video game plot. It's got a lot of characters. It's got your main characters just giving a lot of exposition. There's a very flimsy character arc, if you can even call it a character arc, and you wouldn't mind any of that if you were just playing it as a video game. So that's annoying, but what makes it more annoying is that it also looks like a really kick-ass video game.
Oh, it looks like an amazing video game.
So for just a movie, it's a little disappointing because I'd love to sink my teeth into a more character driven story, or at least not feel like the piece is frustrated in not being in another medium. Because I don't think this even reaches the heights of a Batman versus Ninja Turtles, which is pretty thin on story, but does want to be a movie. You know, like I'm not watching that wishing it was in some other medium. This does in its way, the good fan service thing okay. Although, again, I have a big premise issue with it, which we'll get into in a minute. But Batman vs. Ninja Turtles knows just what it is and achieves what it wants to achieve. It's not super character driven, although there are some places in that where it does stop for a minute and talk a little bit about character motivation and stuff. This is just fight after fight and big crazy Japanese concept after big crazy Japanese concept. And the other big thing that movie has going for it over this, which is funny because they're both about ninjas, they're both about some Japanese stuff. Just in as much as Ninja Turtles ever is about Japanese stuff. But the other thing that movie has over this is its Batman is not a friggin' idiot. This Batman is so slow on the uptake.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So the issue with the premise with this is it would be so much more interesting and thrilling if we could just repackage the Batman characters and the concept and the mythos in feudal Japan in the first place and not make it a time travel thing. It's the same problem that so many multiversal crossover things have with when you take two different properties and cross them over, which is one of the things I loved about also Batman versus Ninja Turtles, where it just set them in the same universe in the first place.
Well, it reminds me a lot of Injustice in that way, where it's like, here's
Yes.
your Elseworld idea. You don't need to have bringing the regular DC universe into it.
No,
You
and
could
that's
just start
why
with this.
the Injustice comics are so much better than the story in that, or at least the first year, the story in that video game, because I don't need it to cross into a regular DC universe. Just take me there. But this has to have, all these characters time travel back to feudal Japan, take it over, split up space, kind of like in No Man's Land, and then Batman, and then we can drive away for Batman to show up 2 years later because we want all of them to be situated already so that he can show up and then fight them. Like a video game plot. And Austin,
Which would make more sense if it was just, this is the world.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is even if you had to have a Batman from a more traditional Batman universe, just have him cross over, nothing else does, into a world that just is this already, if it's got to be that. Now, I still would prefer just a Batman from feudal Japan, but at the very, let's split the middle and do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be a little bit better.
So, riddle me this. Why is Gorilla Grodd the main villain of this movie?
Well,
Because I have a theory, and it's a very silly theory.
Well, I think it's just none of Batman's villains would be able to do this, I guess. And it's got to be like the thing that breaks the status quo. So it's got to be something he doesn't fight normally. So it has to be a different villain. Now, why it's Gorilla Grodd specifically, I'm not sure. I guess just that you can have all the villains end up getting linked because you don't have enough time for him to fight them separately.
Yeah, that was my theory, is that it all comes down to how do you make 5 villains all come up with the idea of giant mech robots at the same time.
Because it kind of sets up your Mega Man level select system. And
You're
then
right, it does!
And then goes, oh crap, but we're a movie, we can't do that. They all have to come together.
And now they're showing you the map you'd be looking at, so you know where you can go in the game, and then here's all the different places that you can travel to. It's probably open world to some degree.
Yeah, or even if it's not, it's just you pick the world, or it's like a Castlevania type thing too, where like you unlock different areas as you go.
Sure.
Kind of like Arkham Asylum's like that
Or like
too.
a 3D Mario where like you pick an area and you go explore that, but
Yeah,
you can do them in any order if you've unlocked them.
yeah. When I wondered if we were going to go to these different areas that are ruled by the different characters, and we'd have, like little kind of segments in them, and
Yeah, it's really
I
disappointing.
wish we did that.
It could have been a cool almost vignette thing, right?
Hmm.
Where like and now we do the little story where we have to get to the Two-Face boss, and now we do the little and like even feeling more like a video game than a movie. If we leaned even more into the video game side of it, it's kind of a more fun adventure, don't you think?
Hmm.
Like you
No,
make
I
it.
agree. I was disappointed that we didn't end up doing that.
No, that's such
Uh,
a good point. And why don't we do anything with Sumo Bane? Like he just shows up and he looks
just there.
insane, and he's amazing. Then we don't do anything with him. And I wanted the giant Bane mech robot.
Also, these like kind of villain introductions where we go in on them and it's got the text is very Sly Cooper, which is funny because that was like really looking at Batman the animated series, so it's gone like full circle. But
Oh, interesting.
that's how it sets up the villains in that, because it's got like the different villains that are like all connected, but they have like their own segments. Kind of what we're talking about, what this game would look like.
Yeah. It's also hilarious to me that the big twist of this at the end is just the big video game MacGuffin that I guess was established at the beginning, but we didn't realize was the thing that ties everything together. So the whole movie, I'm wondering how do. So sorry, I got to comment on this. Bruce Wayne shaving the bat in the top of his head for no reason. Like why? Why?
I don't know. Well, I was immediately like, that's weird, but also you're just giving away your identity, man. Like, not to these people in feudal Japan, but like all your villains run this town.
Well, he's got a beard. They've never seen Bruce Wayne with a beard.
Yeah, I guess that's their getaway. Okay, fair
Here's
enough.
how slow on the uptake this Bruce Wayne is. He talks to Alfred for like a minute and a half before he realizes it's Alfred.
Yeah. Well, it's that, and that he's like, well, okay, I got to be in hiding. I'm gonna shave a bat onto my
At
head.
the top of my head.
He's like, thank you for this disguise, Catwoman.
And before he even knows that, yeah, how do you not recognize Alfred's voice, you dweeb? Like, there's a British man bringing you tea, and you're like, wait a minute, this is black tea. You must be my butler.
Only my British butler would think to serve me tea without anything in it.
But just the way he spells out everything, and some of that is super anime, except he's the character that does it the most. So it just makes him seem like a total moron. But anyway, I was going to say, the whole movie, you're wondering how these villains, like, just because they're main villains and bad guys, they're able to very quickly take over all these provinces. And then you find out, oh, they've got these resources given to them by Gorilla Grodd, and they've built these big mech robots, and he mind controlled them all to do that. I just think it's hilarious that we don't know that the whole movie, and that's made into a big reveal.
Hmm. No, I had the same thing because I was like, oh, okay. We already knew that Joker had one, and there's that part of me that was like, oh, I kind of wish that was just a hint, and then it becomes like a bigger robot, and then we did something else with the other villains. Because I do feel like we don't really do enough with the other ones.
No, they're just here. All of this is a toy commercial,
Hmm.
and again, the proof of concept for a video game that never got made, that absolutely should have been made, that still should be made.
Yeah.
If
Well, I
this
mean,
is
I know
getting a sequel, why isn't it next year? Why isn't it getting a video game instead?
well, at one point they were making a Gotham by Gaslight game, so it's not like it's that crazy to think that we could have done this like that.
Yeah, and again, I would love to see that in this more stylized, like almost kind of storybook looking style.
Absolutely.
There's even places in this Austin that remind me of Telltale games. Like, I think we're already past it, but there's a bit where Batman, we go into like first person POV, and he aims a weapon and he's trying to decide if he's going to shoot it to the left or the right. Like, you, the player, are moving the cursor.
Well, and there's that part too where Bruce says, "Thank you for this missionary disguise," and then at the top of the screen it says, "Catwoman will remember this."
Yeah, she's like, oh, she'll remember this because he's an idiot because it's not a disguise.
Yeah, apparently Batman did not remember what his butler looks or sounds like.
I really don't understand why the script was rewritten. Because compared to what I'm looking at right now, it does read a little bit dumbed down and kind of Americified. And I'm like, well, what is the point of this? Like, the point is to make a thing that's super Japanese.
What I heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I think it was in an interview with the writer, but I was kind of going back to different sources, so I might be pulling this quote from a different article I read. But I heard that they looked at the script and they were like, this makes no sense. And so basically completely changed it. And I think the main writer said that they wrote out the dialogue and it was like 6 pages of dialogue, which doesn't make sense to me with how much people talk in this, but I don't know.
So in the American version, and you were just reading the text but not hearing the dialogue, Joker has this ridiculous baseball metaphor that makes no sense. Because he's like, oh, swing batter, but he throws a shuriken. I don't understand that. I like how, though, old school traditional this Joker is, where like he's actually making jokes and like he's constantly joking. And like the voice is annoying, but I don't mind how much he's talking. I like how much fun he's having. This is kind of the Joker I miss.
No, I agree. I like their take. I like their take on most of these villains. Like, it's
you just don't do anything with them.
You just don't do enough with them. Exactly. Like, I don't know if we're gonna be like negative as much as just kind of disappointed with execution.
Yeah, that's
like,
where I'm at.
How it all
like,
comes together.
It's fun to look at. I'm already enjoying this more just talking over it.
No, I am too.
I found myself really antsy just watching it because there's nothing to sink my teeth into story-wise. And even if it doesn't want to really be about anything thematically, which is fine, it could be more, just complicated the story it's telling. It's so kids playing with action figures.
Yeah, Joker might as well be yelling, kill the heroes.
Yeah, exactly. His mech robot has, like, X-Men Sentinel hands.
It does, yeah, I was thinking that too. It's closer to the Sentinels than the X-Men movies.
So a lot of my both praises and complaints are going to be very superficial, because it's very superficial, this movie. Look at this Bane! I love him!
He's so goofy.
Oh, he catches the Batmobile! Forgot about that. You gotta love the part later, Austin, where Batman's is lamenting that he has lost all of it. This is his character arc, which, by the way, he goes through in the first half of the movie, and then just fights for the rest of it. And it's very superficial. And look, now we have armored Batman. It's kind of odd not knowing that he was going to go to feudal Japan and wind up in an anime that he just already has a bat cycle that can turn into a robot, but okay.
Well, his Batmobile is everything in this movie.
So that's what I was going to say. He will complain. Sorry, I'm all over the place. He will complain later, or he will lament later that he's lost all of his gadgets and he doesn't know who he is without his gadgets, and I'll complain about that when we get there. But he goes through all the vehicles he's lost, and he's like, the Batmobile, the Bat cycle, the Batwing. Jason watched this with me, and he looks at me and he goes, no, that was all the same thing, though.
Also, when his thing's getting crushed, his, like, armored suit, I like that he programmed it to have like a little cartoony Batman getting hit with like a plunger to show that he's being ejected? Like, did Batman program that?
Yeah. It's almost like a lot of the things he has are just because he's in an anime, which is kind of counter to the premise, Austin, because he's supposed to be a man out of time. It's a fish out of water thing. He's got to adapt to his surroundings and to being thrown in feudal Japan. And he's already equipped for this because he just lives in an anime world, and he also ends up in a world with a big bat cult, which is, you know, a little convenient. Like, was I watching this right, Austin? It seems like there's like a prophecy about
Yes.
a Batman from the future that will show up and help out. So it's not even like that bat. I said cult, but that group that kind of worships Batman, that they were formed because of some change to the timeline. I guess that was always there, and this was always destined to happen.
Mm-hmm. No, and they're basically like the Sons of Batman, except they're changed because of a prophecy, like you said.
And like good guys from the beginning.
Yeah.
Props for bringing Red Robin in.
That's cool.
I think the weakest suits are actually on the hero side.
Well, and Robin's like, he's got male pattern baldness.
Yeah, it's odd. So this this ninja clan, this Bat clan we were talking about, this aspect of it reminds me a lot of Return of Bruce Wayne.
Oh, okay. It's been so long since I watched that, but obviously I am thinking about that a bit. Just Batman in history like this.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of it. Is just it feels like the whole world has always revolved around Batman in some way, and you go back to in ancient iconic time period like this where we just add bat emblems to everything, and we like Batmanify feudal Japan. And I'm a broken record, but once again, I'm going to say all of that works better if it's just Elseworlds and you have a Batman that comes from feudal Japan, and like let all these characters just be Japanese in the first place. Like, let's get a Japanese Batman as opposed to a, you know, typical American, you know, white guy Batman from the future that has to acclimate to the culture.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots
That's
of
not
great,
me. That's not me complaining like cultural appropriation or whatever. I'm just saying I think this concept is cooler.
No, we're both just saying that the Elseworld idea of just Batman's entire world reinvented in this period is cooler than just Batman and his world going into this period.
Yeah. And I guess even like
the history of that with Elseworld stuff, like it's not like it's that crazy.
No, we've done it. We've done a ton of that, and that's Gotham by Gaslight. This has almost that 1602 problem where we're overcomplicating it and simplifying it all at the same time. Where it's like, why does that have to be somehow Marvel canon? But at least that's not like this, where you have characters that literally are going back in time to Tudor England. But they still try to make it in canon. Okay, this is also how dumb and dense this Batman is. So he looks at a scroll, and the writing is clearly sideways, and he tries to read it in landscape before he flips it up and down. Friggin' moron!
Batman is too dumb to read.
And that's the DreamWorks logo.
It was the DreamWorks logo. If only you had Joker fishing off of it. So this flute thing with Grodd, this was something I was like, I could see this being changed in the dub because sometimes we change music and stuff. Is Robin at the end playing the 60s Batman theme on it when they're like doing the monkey stuff?
Yes, he is.
Okay. I was like, I feel like that could have changed, but I don't know.
That is what's happening.
It's also so subtle that I was like, Is this what the
Oh, I
scissors?
didn't think it was subtle at all. He pulls it up and it goes.
No, but it took me a second because it's being played on a flute and there's no like nah
No,
nah.
that was absolutely obviously
So
what
that's
it
why.
was.
So there was like a second where I was like,
Jason didn't catch it either. I had to explain it. I started laughing. I was like, "Did he seriously?" Jason was like, "What?" I was like, "That's the '60s Batman theme." Oh, also, another thing that makes this very distracting that this ought to just be a video game is that the big thing Gorilla Grodd is trying to get his hands back on, the big device that was built, is the Quake engine. If Gorilla Grodd can get his hands on the Quake engine, he can make Star Trek Elite Force, everybody.
he can make Return to Castle Wolfenstein.
I mean, the potential is endless.
Makes sense. They got to return to Castle Joker.
This plot is like if Gorilla Grodd was trying to get his hands on Unreal Engine.
I hope it's what the Yakuza League one is.
Me too. Okay, so I guess I'll just ask you this right away.
Yeah.
Having seen this now, are you at all excited for that, or are you worried it's just going to be like more of this and you'll wish it was still a video game? Like, is there a chance that that's a little more story driven?
I don't know. My question is it also going to be a feudal Japan thing? Are they going to a different period, or is it just like, what is the plot for that?
Yeah, I wonder that too. It does look like it's pretty much the same team coming back.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
I'll make it into an interesting land filled with shrieks, malice, and grief.
Joker's boss. We're in a video game. Joker's ship here, the face on it looks like the face of the main boss from the end of Medieval.
Oh, does I haven't gotten that far.
Yeah. It's very amusing.
Oh man, see, look how sneaky this idiot Batman is.
Yeah, he was literally just wearing a hat.
So,
Although this is a Batman that wears a mask under his mask, and I can approve of that.
he wears a mask under his mask, and he's also wearing a bat symbol shaved into his head under that mask.
Oh my god, you're right.
You gotta think about how ridiculous all of this really is. I like Harley Quinn's look too.
Yeah, I like her design. I like all the designs. They're all really cool.
I like the British collar she's got.
Yeah. This is probably a stretch, but I wonder if they were maybe thinking of that with the new show, or if that was maybe part of why they considered that. It probably is just a stretch, but
oh yeah, I don't know,
because that is just like an old Harlequin look. So
Bat Clan's ninja boat is in the subtitles. Although I will say, and you're not listening to the English, but I'm glad that the script got rewritten for one line, because when the leader of the Ninja Clan comes rushing at the screen, he goes in his Japanese accent. He goes Joker, and it's awesome.
well, they were clearly just fans of Going Saiyan.
This is another shot where it's so video gamey with Harley Quinn with her gun in first person POV, where it just looks like a FPS.
It's like a little mini game.
So I'm complaining that you don't get to play these parts, because this stuff is obviously, on the ship here. What you like would be actual gameplay were this a video game.
Yeah.
But I do have to admit that a lot of the action is really well choreographed. Particularly the last, giant Batman Joker fight. It's so good. Like, it's ridiculous how thrilling that is. I had checked out a little bit by that point, watching this again. When we got to that scene, I was like, oh, how is this good all of a sudden? Like, it's awesome.
No, it reminds me of like some more cutscene heavy games where like there's probably like a boss mixed in, and then it'll transition to a cutscene maybe where you go to a different location, then the boss continues, and then you have like another cutscene after you beat them. It made me think of that, where I was like, it is really cool, but I was still thinking like, okay, I feel like there's like a boss like in between some of this.
And there's so much work put into some of this animation, like that Batman throwing his rope and swirling around Joker and then pulling him back down, like that all looks really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so like I said, nothing but superficial stuff tonight. But Austin, I don't like how long Batman goes before he finally gets his ninja outfit.
I agree. Also, now that I'm looking at him, my one design complaint will be Grodd, because his fur looks weird in this 3D animation.
Yeah, and again, I'm just repeating myself, but why would you do it like that if it wasn't a video game cutscene? Also, if we can't have this as a full-fledged like action adventure game, whatever it would be, could we at least get this as its own fighting game?
Especially because who knows what's happening with like DC fighting stuff now that Injustice seems to maybe be over.
And Two-Face also looks really cool. I love the top of his head. It's got half a red flourishing flower and then a rotten flower on the other side. That's so cool.
No, that is great. So can you explain to me how they survived this scene?
I don't know.
There are two parts in this movie where I have no idea what's happening, and both involve Batman somehow not dying.
Well, I don't know how Joker and Harley Quinn survive either.
Yeah, just all of them on this boat, really. But with Batman specifically, that bomb's right on him.
Okay, so I can confirm now from the subtitles translated from the original Japanese script that they were indeed being indulgent in having Catwoman say the phrase "Back to the Future."
Oh.
Because the English translation from the original Japanese is "Return me to the future."
The main one that I'm interested to see, because I guarantee it's different in the Japanese version, is when she fights Harley at the end and yells, "Time for a little girl-on-girl action."
Uh-huh.
There's no way that is what the original line is.
There's no way.
They basically stole that line from, oh my god, what's
the AVGN movie?
Yeah, well, I guess that too, but I was thinking of Hot Fuzz.
Oh, sure.
Which is, it's not exactly the same as that. It's probably closer to the line in AVGN movie.
I should wait until we get to that to mention this, because you're getting ahead of me, but in case I forget to say it, Jason and I could not stop laughing at that, because she goes girl on girl action and then starts complaining that Harley Quinn is like sticking her tongue out, like licking her and stuff. I was like, what did you expect with that line?
If the line in Japanese isn't some sort of like
why are you complaining Harley Quinn is making this sexual? You made it sexual in the first place.
If the Japanese line is not some sort of cutesy like time for a cat fight thing, then I'm gonna be really disappointed, because it's right there.
We got some new folks I don't recognize in the comments. Welcome, guys. Robert Budell, Gorilla Grodd being used as a reference to the warlord Toyotomi. I'm going to botch this. Hideyoshi, who was nicknamed Saru the Monkey. I didn't know that.
Oh.
And he also says the choice of Deathstroke is because he's referencing the Japanese Lord Masumene, who is also missing an eye.
Interesting. I assumed it was just because he's the closest to fitting this aesthetic.
See, I figured there were probably some like historical references and maybe even some Japanese pop culture references that would just go over my head.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this is also like near the end of Deathstroke being in everything too. So like that was also part of it. But that's interesting.
I mean, that might be why they thought to do it in the first place, but. And yes, everybody, R.I.P. Tony Todd. He just died today. I'm reeling about this. We found out about that, I don't know, an hour maybe before recording tonight. And we got to do this, so I'm not going to get into that right now. But Austin, we should do some kind of event to celebrate Tony Todd. And can you
That was
believe
good.
a year after we did Candyman?
I know, right?
Love Tony Todd, met him in person, talked to him for a long time at a con once, and I'm a big fan of his work, and I kind of can't get over that.
Hmm.
Just
No, it's crazy. I had the same thing when I saw it. I was like, oh my God. And then I immediately sent it to you. Because I was
yeah,
like,
thanks,
Cap's going
man.
to want to hear about this.
Well, we've now very much dated this commentary, so
Oh,
why don't
well.
we marry it anyway? Getting
I
back,
I was going to say it, and I was like, no, I've made that joke before. I won't do
I'll do it for you,
it.
man. Well, at least we'll have spares. Oh wait, no,
Oh
no,
my
they
God,
won't
you
have.
beat me by like a second.
Yes.
I blame it on reacting to reading subtitles. Threw me off the draw.
So I'm overthinking this because obviously this is a movie that is a lot more interested in the aesthetic and in the action and just finding excuses to do all these cool designs, which is worth it because they're great. But you could make a cool character arc out of Batman losing himself in his technology. This
Mhm.
movie basically just, I mean, at least he's consistent in how dumb he is. Because it basically has a Batman that seems to just have always relied too much on his gadgetry and now has this kind of introspective moment where he goes, "Oh God, I lost all my gadgets. What am I without that?" And you can't become Batman in the first place if you don't already learned to rely on like building skill and being resourceful. And like, what was the point of the 10 years that he went off to become Batman if all that makes him Batman is his car and his suit and detective mode and all of that? But on the other hand, I like that they basically make him Arkham Batman before he goes to the Ninja Batman place, because he does, like, that Batman does rely way too much on technology, and it's very much that Grant Morrison thing where like he can like do 3D like holographic maps of things around him, and
Mhm.
like he basically has a holodeck inside of his mask. But like, I think there's a character arc for Batman in there, but it has to be a guy who's lost himself to it, not that seems to always be nothing without that. And by the way, that whole character arc is introduced and wrapped up in that scene. We've now moved on. Like, he figured it out.
Now
He's
we're
good
in a
now.
different video game. This is like the Pokemon cutscene.
Yeah, exactly. But
This is
anyway, I
we have
talked a
like
long
them
time.
where it's like they're posed and then you have the text saying what they're saying.
But yeah, are you with me on that, or do you have a different take?
No, I agree completely. Well, and I've always wanted to see a version of Batman that's like that, where you have him more of like a tech guy that has to learn to rely on his own skills as like a new take now, as tech's kind of furthered.
The part where they just start talking about food is so hilariously cheeseball. And in the American dub, Alfred goes, just his line delivery, fresh baked bread.
Without dumb this Batman is, I'm surprised Alfred didn't have to explain to Bruce that it's important to eat.
Well, I mean, to be fair, that's in a lot of Batman stories anyway.
That is true. That is true. But I mean, like more on like a technical level. Like he comes in and he's like, "Did you know, Bruce, that eating keeps you alive?"
Robert Bedell, Joker's Demon King line act is a reference to the warlord Oda Nokabunga, who was, or Nokabunaga, pardon me, who was described as the Demon King of the Sixth Heaven,
Oh, I
which
think I've heard something about that.
explains some of the change in the with the rewrite, because we had a like a sixth demon realm or something line earlier. So
Mhm.
there's obviously some real honest to god Japanese mythology in here that I'm not familiar with,
Mhm.
that they just wrote out completely. Okay, do you have any read at all on why we did this? We now have a completely, like, a really surreal uh, uh, change in animation
What's
that.
the art style of the "Don't Download This Song" music video?
Oh, yeah, it does kind of look like that.
But there's also weird points where this looks very much like what I want it to look like in being a more 2D look. But there's also places where it looks very um, rotoscoped. It's like
That's
I find
true.
the animation in this sequence is also just kind of strange in that it seems to be going back and forth between styles. And
I
I have no idea why
I
they do
don't
this.
have any read on it. I don't know what the logic is of this. It feels like it should mean something. I don't know why there's a scarecrow there that's clearly supposed to make you think of Batman Scarecrow, but it's just kind of a scarecrow.
Just a reference, I guess. But it's also weird because the scene before this was also like more of a different art style. Where, like I said, it's like your RPG where you have your kind of character talking and then the text underneath, and like that's kind of how it's posed while they're doing that montage. But it makes sense as a montage. This is just a regular scene.
Yeah, and
Maybe it's
it's probably over my head. Like I don't know story wise why we're doing this,
is it maybe
but
something to do with Joker where he's not crazy anymore, so it looks different.
yeah, but the whole thing doesn't feel like it's from his perspective. We kind of open
No, it
on Red
doesn't.
Hood, and that's kind of what threw me with it.
When I was just thinking because we end this with him becoming crazy again, so
Yeah,
like all I can think of. But you're right, we don't open with him,
no,
and
that was all I could think of too. But it doesn't really make a lot of sense on a POV level.
hmm
We also don't spend enough time with it,
hmm
just story wise. I like this whole thing ends up being very much a footnote. It goes back to the idea you suggested earlier, where maybe this would be more effective if it was broken down into different sections. Where we keep visiting the different provinces. Maybe we could make them all different art styles. Even do the vignette thing that I like loosely connected to the Nolan movies. What was that called?
Oh,
Gotham
Gotham Knight.
Knight? Yeah. Do that, but have it all be the same story ultimately.
Well, I was thinking
And
of Old Man Logan too, where like on the
sure.
adventure you're going into these different areas that are taken over by different Batman villains, so you'll see kind of what it looks like under their rule.
And that's very traditional Japanese stuff where you're going on kind of a crusade where you maybe add people to help you along the way, very Seven Samurai.
hmm
And I mean, this isn't doing that, but like it could have. That may have made sense.
hmm
But yeah, like the only real story stuff that's in this, where there's any potential interesting character work, with Batman's little character arc where he learns to not just rely on his technology. We introduce that and wrap it up in about 3.5 seconds. And the same thing is kind of true with this, where it's like we got a Joker and Harley Quinn that tragically get to be real people for a minute, but they've, in a very silly, convoluted way, have set this up intentionally to mind wipe themselves, and
hmm
then uh, smell a concoction that brings them back to their original insanity, and they get their memories back. And we wrap that up in like a couple of minutes. And we don't
Yeah.
learn what it means until later. It's a little bit of a plot twist. But what was the point of even doing it? Except they wanted to do this art style. But why do they need this excuse? I don't even understand it.
I guess just because we need to space out Jokers, we can focus on other things for now. And that's a cool image where he's like putting the smile back on.
I will say it is a cool image. I will say I complained at the beginning that I watching a little bit of anime in between watches with this feels a little bit less authentic and like it's trying too hard to be a crazy Japanese anime thing. On the other hand, there are a lot of places like that one where I feel like if only I understood the conventions and sensibilities of the art in that region of the world, I might get some of these choices better.
hmm
So maybe that's not a full-on fair complaint, and especially because this started with a Japanese writer who was rewritten. So maybe it's not fair to say it's trying too hard to be, super crazy Japanese, but it did feel that way on a rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah,
just
I think that's
explaining
all
my
feeling,
experience,
too,
but I
like,
don't know how
it's
fair that is. I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I said, I mean, that's all feeling too. So that's just how it made you feel. Oh,
You gotta love the
like
samurai
everything.
penguins. I don't know how he got those.
I'm glad that we got it though. If only they fought the monkeys.
Yeah, but they need rockets on their bags.
Well, they have something on their bags.
Oh, okay.
Because at first, when I saw them earlier today, when I was watching this, I was like, "Oh my god, they got rockets on their backs!" Oh no, they don't. When Poison Ivy's plants have like the samurai helmets.
And see, it feels like we're getting into the last big leg of a video game now, where we've been to all 5 of the provinces and we fought all these guys once, and then
Now it's
now
the
they're
boss rush.
now they're all introducing their big mech robots. You're gonna fight those, and then they're gonna come together and make one big super robot at the end. Somebody is into Gundam.
Hmm. And I wasn't crazy about any of their designs, but the Two-Face one is really cool.
I still want a Bane one.
What would his be? The samurai, or not samurai, the sumo ring.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm preoccupied by what you would call it, because they have all these like hilariously long names.
Hmm.
I want like with no survivors to be in there somewhere.
Oh no, his would be his teddy bear.
Oh, that's perfect. What, from Vengeance of Bane?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, you'd call it like the Venom with no survivors.
Also, you were saying earlier that the heroes have the weakest designs, with the exception of Red Hood. He's the best hero design.
Oh, do you think? I don't love it.
Oh, see, I like his design quite a bit. I think
Okay.
it's pretty cool.
I think my problem is I just love the original suit too much. I don't even know how to Japaneseify it and make it look as cool. I mean, that's my problem.
Yeah, and I guess maybe like, do you mean like the Joker Red Hood one, or like the Jason Todd Red Hood?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said Red Robin.
Oh no, I'm Red Hood.
No, you know what? I like the Red Hood choice too. It's neat that it's like a big basket head.
Yeah, I like that it's like the original Red Hood, like the big long
I'm
mask.
sorry. You said Red Hood. My brain said Red Robin, even though I said Red Hood
No, it's
too.
okay. No, I'm indifferent to all the
I'm
Robins.
simply wasting everyone's time, and that was the Paramount logo.
Yep.
Got a lot of studio logos in this movie.
Now we're in an Indiana Jones movie.
Dun, 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 dun.
Gundams. Why did it have to be Gundams?
Robert Budell says that hat is a reference to traveling Japanese monks.
That makes sense. That's how he's introduced. Although I do like that Penguin's like when it folds out, it's just him, like with his umbrella. Like his mech robot even has a top hat and monocle.
And Deathstrokes looks like an actual Transformer.
Yes. So does the top of Poison Ivy's. And then Two-Face is much more experimental.
So I know the clear answer to this is just they made a video game and didn't let you play it. But did you find yourself at all disappointed that this wasn't a little bit more character driven? Or like, were you fine with it just being especially by the end, in the last half an hour, just a bunch of silly fighting?
So I was admittedly like a little bored watching this the first time. I'm having a way better viewing this time watching it with you. I feel like this is kind of the way to watch it.
Because there's no substance here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
You don't even need to hear what anybody is saying. Who cares?
yeah, and I feel like I appreciate that a little bit more watching it with you, where it's like I'm probably not catching a lot of the dialogue, but I'm like experiencing it,
Yeah. Yeah, you don't need it.
Yeah. No, and when I watched this the first time, it like really dragged, and this time like we're already over halfway.
Yeah. And yay for Batman on a horse.
We finally got it, Sam Ham.
I always love that. I think the single silliest thing that happens in the entire movie
Is it that end credits
is
thing?
the end credits. That's just insane.
Well, especially because the horses are like costumed. They're like ninja outfits.
Yeah, well, I guess the idea is that everything that they had there gets sucked into the future, just like the Batmobile and everything got sucked into the past.
Hmm.
But it's hilarious that they're just driving a horse-drawn carriage down a Gotham street.
And he's got no Batmobile anymore, or Batwing, or Bat motorcycle, or
All the things that were
mech
just the
suit.
same thing.
Well, that's my favorite thing on a first viewing is he shows up in the Batmobile and Joker's like, the Batmobile. He relies like entirely on the Batmobile. And I was like, does he? And then as the scene continues, it's like, because it's literally everything that he has.
Yeah, Robert Bedell, we did talk a little bit about the upcoming sequel earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna see all the Justice League is the
Yeah,
Yakuza
the
League.
Justice League are all going to be the Yakuza League, and Ra's al Ghul's in it.
Mr. Raz Al Ghul? I'm actually a little surprised he's not in this.
I'm going to assume that the Justice League just gets mind controlled like they do in Teen Titans versus Justice League. Hopefully not by Gorilla Grodd again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it'll be something else.
It'll be really funny if ultimately it feels like you could have swapped them, where Ra's al Ghul is the reason we go back in time, and then Gorilla Grodd is who mind controls the Justice League.
Good call.
Assuming that Ra's al Ghul mind controls the Justice League.
But yeah, so this is just played as a giant reveal. It's always funny in things like this, Austin, where a big oh man, that's funny. Sorry, there's a symbol that appears, and in the subtitles it says brainwashed. That's what that symbol means.
That's great.
It's awesome. Brainwashed. Clearly, this is far more entertaining in the original Japanese. Like,
apparently, yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. It has more of an identity, it sounds like, too.
Yeah. I maybe wouldn't even be complaining as much about this should be a video game thing.
I mean, I still just want this as a video game.
No, me too.
Yeah,
but it does feel more conceptualized somehow as a movie, seeing this a little bit more authentic. I mean, obviously, more so if I actually knew Japanese and was just listening to the Japanese without having to read it, but I do have the capability of doing both, of listening to the Japanese actors. And like I said, I sampled it a little bit, and the voice acting sounds awesome.
Yeah, no, everyone's really good in the Japanese version.
I wish I was doing it that way. I'm taking one for the team.
This whole thing is a very classic Joker gag, whereas plants the seeds, like at the end of them, are Joker faces.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, and Joker, just as an idea, fits really great with this aesthetic. Like, they had no trouble figuring out a way to make that feel like a, classic, scary Japanese villain.
Yeah, for sure.
I do think it's funny, and this is not intentional by any stretch, and I'm not saying that this movie has any kind of like political message. But there's a read you can make here where the villains are all about cultural appropriation.
Well, I was just thinking about that with Penguin. You could have done something like that because he's got like the kind of posh British thing.
And then Batman has to like, sort of reluctantly do the same thing, but he's given permission by a local tribe that worships him.
Oh no.
So he's roped in by proxy. We didn't talk about this earlier, but I love the slide that comes off of Joker's
the little
Met
tongue
Castle.
slide? Yeah.
It's a slide whistle, or it's like a party. What do you call those? It's like a party favor.
Mm-hmm. No, but the sound it made when they go down it is a slide whistle.
That's awesome. I missed that.
I literally missed it until you said that, and I was like, oh, it did make a slide whistle noise, and then I realized, like, oh, that's not what you meant to say, though.
Accidents are always funnier when you explain them.
I just asked Brandon.
I've roped back around now, Austin, and I'm appreciating why I enjoyed this so much the first time I saw it.
That's good.
While watching it with you.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny because I feel like I also didn't enjoy it that much, and I'm now enjoying it a lot more while watching it with you after you also didn't enjoy it as much on a rewatch.
You gotta talk over it.
Mm-hmm.
You almost have to vocalize the things you're appreciating.
Yeah.
Because there's all these cool details to point out, like visually. Also, I love that. I love the mahjong.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty great.
I hope the next one has Starro and is like a kaiju at the end to like fit that into it. Like we did the Gundam thing here. It would be cool if we did that.
I'll be surprised if they don't do that. Although they'll probably do both, right? They'll probably bring back mech robots, but have them fight kaiju.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'll be Starro, but it's the first thing that comes to mind.
Well, given that it's a Justice League thing,
Mm-hmm.
That's a good bet. But then again, I never would have guessed Gorilla Grodd. And then they're gonna do Justice League, and they did a Justice League villain here, so I don't know.
Or like a Flash villain, but yeah.
I guess
sure.
I always think of Gorilla Grodd as a Justice League thing, but I guess it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm with you. Like all of the separate mechs by themselves are not great. The combiner is pretty cool.
Yeah, when they're all combined, they look cool.
I do like that. This is hilarious. Like all of a sudden, we're watching this Batman movie, and I'm always talking about like deep psychological, tragic, philosophical things with Batman, and now we're just right back to a Power Rangers commentary. Replete with explosions behind the villains as they're walking.
Also, one of my favorite things in this is when somebody clearly says a name in their line of dialogue, but it's been rewritten so it's not there. But if you're still listening to the Japanese track, you can be like, wait a minute. There's nothing wrong with these subtitles.
Oh, that's great.
It's not like super common, but every now and then it happens. There's a big one with Harley near the end when she fights Catwoman.
Oh, I didn't talk about this earlier, but I like the part where Harley is like, I'll explain it to you with this puppet show.
Mm-hmm. Well, I like their little like radar thing.
Yeah, it's great. Once again, all of this could have been still in a video game.
Robin's monkey is like the hint giver, right? Where you go up to him and he's like, this is like, go here.
So as soon as Gorilla Grodd pulls out this flute, I was like, oh, Dragon Sword's coming.
Oh, sure. Except it's,
and then that summons the Dragon Sword.
I mean, it summons the bad monkey Zorg that is just like first appearance Batman without the purple gloves.
And of course, yeah, I know. Why did it make a giant 1939 Batman? The thing Jason couldn't get his mind around is, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but is how that summoned giant bat, which I guess isn't a robot, how does it have? Is it actually bats that all come together?
Yes, so it's monkeys,
Or it's
and then the
monkeys.
bats like fuse in with them to make a
That's
giant
right.
Batman.
What Jason couldn't figure out was how you got the yellow in the belt.
I mean, it would have to be from the monkeys.
Yeah, but the monkeys are all through it. If anything, it should all be yellow.
I just don't know where the gray comes from.
Yeah, I don't know.
This part also reminded me a lot of the Suicide Squad with the rats with Starro.
So annoying. So I guess Robin's had a couple of years to learn to play the flute. I guess we can give him that.
Well, he didn't. He just has to blow into it while the monkeys go.
Well, yeah, but he's actually playing it because he's making the 60s Batman theme, and you see his fingers move. He's playing it.
Well, no, the monkeys are doing that on the holes.
Oh, I guess that's okay.
No, they're doing the fingering. He's doing the blowing.
We all need a moment of silence for that sentence. Wow.
A little bit of Alien Covenant coming at you.
Austin actually said that out loud, folks. You can say my brain's in the gutter, but you were all thinking it too. All six of you. Austin, it made a giant monkey pop figure.
It did.
If this was made now, I mean, I guess we were doing the giant pops back then. I mean, this is only a few years ago, but I was gonna say, I would expect a giant pop for the monkey in this.
Oh, sure. Well,
I don't know if this
now,
movie
I mentioned
got
the
pop
monkeys.
figures or not. Like, I'm trying to remember if because I collect Batman pops real hard. I don't remember if they made a ninja Batman or if I have it. I know I have like a samurai or a ninja type Batman, but I don't know if it's specifically from this movie or not.
I was gonna say I'd be shocked if they didn't make that samurai armor Batman at the very least.
Yeah, I'll check a little later. I know I've got one that has samurai armor, but I don't know if it's specifically from this or not.
It'd be funny if they put out one that was like the big mech Batman that's just, 30s Batman. There's no way to differentiate it.
Okay, so sorry, I was distracted because there's a hilarious flip that happened with what usually does with dubs, where usually it's like a lot of Japanese dialogue, and then the English is like a couple of words.
Yeah.
Well, there was just a flip where the English was the mech robots coming up, and Joker says something along the lines of, "It's not how you fall, but how you pick yourself back up." The Japanese, or the English subtitle that was from the Japanese script just said, "Too bad."
Just hello. That's awesome.
There's like a weird cultural reversal that happened there.
All these monkeys are getting roasted.
Yeah, no animals were harmed in the making of this mech robot.
Luckily for them,
Or-
bats are completely inflammable.
not robot, but giant. I don't even know what you call this. But this reminds me of an animated Tick episode called Ants in Pants, where there's like a bazillion ants that all come together to make a giant ant.
I mean, things coming together to make a bigger version of the thing is always amusing.
I love the version of the bat symbol that these bats make.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
It's some cross between like the Batman symbol and the Nightfall symbol.
Well, when the bats like come down on the monkey thing, I was like, oh, they're gonna make like a wings on it or like a cape or something. And then we cut away and we cut back and it's just Batman.
Yeah, it's just Batman.
Oh, okay.
And the cape is waving in the wind somehow. And I guess they're very coordinated to make that happen. And look, I still have the same complaint about the yellow because we just watched all the monkeys fry.
No, there was still a lot of monkeys there. Only some of them
Oh,
fried.
only some of them fried? Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, bats are impervious to flames, so they're fine.
It's also hilarious that he just kind of protected himself with that cape because it's all made of the same thing. So I don't know how much sense that makes.
No, bats just cannot be burned. Light a bat on fire, try it. It won't work.
One thing in this animation I'm really appreciating, Austin, is all these places where it turns into a black and white pencil drawing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is really cool.
Freaking cool. Yeah, I didn't give this enough credit when I watched it yesterday. This is really fun. It's stupid.
It's stupid.
Well, hey, look, if Joker gets to say that 6 times, I do. I don't know if you noticed that because you were just listening to the Japanese, but that actor, he says it, so he's like, he might as well be the Japanese game show host from UHF. You so stupid. And then I guess Red Hood faces off against Deathstroke because they both have guns.
Yeah, because I assumed it was going to be Robin, but then it was Red Hood. I guess that makes sense. I guess.
Okay, so
He also could have been Two-Face. I don't know. He could have gone up against. You could like flip any of these, really.
So when Red Robin walks in against Two-Face, the Japanese script, the dialogue was, "Your coin tossing days are over," and the English rewrite is, "I'm going to wipe that half smile off your face." The English wins in this case. That's pretty good.
But they should have had Two-Face say which one.
Oh, that would have been good. Yeah.
Like animated series.
Oh, look, a flashback to this bizarre art style. Now we understand how this happened. I don't know why this was ever a subplot, though.
Well, I think it was telling you not to download this film. You'll burn in feudal Japan where you belong.
But yeah, I'm surprised that there wasn't a little bit more of a tragedy made out of that.
Mm-hmm. That would have been cool. So is this the closest we'll ever get to Going Saiyan adapted? Because I know DeMatteis has wanted to adapt it for a long time.
I get, which is hilarious because it's like 6 seconds in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I would love an animated adaptation of Going Saiyan.
No, I think that'd be really cool. And he's the original writer, so like you could have a Red Hood situation with that.
Oh, that would be wonderful. No, I love that. I like that story a lot. I mean, it's not perfect. It's got issues, but I know a lot of people don't like it. I enjoy that.
Yeah, I haven't read it since I was like 12, but I
and
remember
it's got
liking
crazy action set pieces that would just be perfect for this kind of thing.
And I feel like it's the right length. Like it's a pretty short book.
What is it? 6 issues? 8 issues?
Like if that, like I feel like it's 6 at the most.
It's been too long. I own those. I had a couple of them as a kid and never got the rest of the story. So when I found them later, gap filling, I was very excited to read the rest of that.
Oh, I missed what it was because I'm listening to it in Japanese. But when Batman starts fighting Joker, there, the Japanese actor clearly just yells "Mr. J," but the English line is different.
Oh, I missed it too. Sorry.
No, it's okay. That was like the big one that stood out to me, where I was like, "That's not what that character just said." But I can't remember what the line was now, and I don't want to go back because it'll mess up the sync.
So I feel like if the premise of this was more of what we wish it was, Austin, where it was just all these characters reimagined as Japanese characters in feudal Japan, I think the American production would have been less tempted to completely rewrite it.
Mhm.
Because there's a lot of just like really weird lines if this is supposed to be more or less the Batman, the familiar Batman you know and love that goes to Japan. Like there was a line just now with Poison Ivy that was with Robin fighting her, or whoever was fighting her. Who's fighting
That
her?
was Robin.
Where he's like, I'm going to take you back to sanity in Gotham's jail. Like, that was the line. And so it's a lot of stuff that just is off-brand and doesn't really fit with, you know, typical comic Batman. I guess I'm seeing why some of this was changed. But you wouldn't have to do any of that. You could make it full-on just bat stuff, crazy, you know, ridiculous Japanese adaptation if it's that premise.
Mm-hmm.
If it's just Elseworlds. Like, if you make it Elseworlds, it's fun if she says in Gotham's jail.
Yeah, I want to hear the English actors say that. I don't know who plays Poison Ivy in this, but
no, I really wish they'd done that. I wish for the Steelbook they had done that. They had done a second dub. And now we get to easily the best part of the movie.
I like that Joker's sword has a smile on it.
Oh, that's cool. I missed that.
Yeah, because Batman says the bat symbol on it, and then Joker says a smile.
You would think this whole thing would just end with the big mech robot fight and there'd be nothing after it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we're not talking about this, but or we haven't been. But you have the typical, are you gonna, you know, kill me, Batman? Like, you've got your one rule. Like they go obligatorily over that whole thing.
Well, I don't even know if anyone can die in this world. Like, these people all exploded.
That's true.
They're fine. Catwoman just blew up Harley, like threw her onto a thing and it blew up when she landed on it, and then she's fine. Batman's gonna get stabbed
what is
in the
with
heart
the
later and he's fine. I don't know how death works in this world.
The original script is obsessed with taxes.
What?
Joker just keeps going on and on about like paying your taxes.
Is this like a Phantom Menace situation? It's the trade dispute. That's so weird.
Yeah, it's really odd. Okay, so the original Japanese did the same typical, like, you're not gonna kill me because that's not your.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of that, did you catch what Catwoman says when she says "girl on girl action"?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
Oh no!
Remind me, and when this is over, I'll go back and look for it.
Yeah, and I'm gonna look back at that Harley line when this is over too.
We can't forget. We gotta make sure to do that.
No, I need to know because there's no way. I refuse to believe that.
No, I want to know what it was.
Same. Like I said, I'm gonna be disappointed if it's not a cat joke.
That smile is wonderfully disturbing.
Well, he just like full on becomes like more Heath Ledger-y in design here, both with the smile kind of being widened and with the hair coming down.
Okay, great. Says the IRS is the only thing Joker doesn't mess with.
that is true.
That's right.
We do know that. That is canon.
So that's one of my favorite things, Austin, when he backs up into the smoke.
And then he goes, psych.
And then comes back and says, psych. It's so good.
No, that is really funny. And here's the Batman mask under the Batman
It
mask.
kind of got me for a second yesterday. I wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh. Like, psych.
No, I was thinking about it. I'm like, how often do you think he does this? Like, Batman just has to know. He's like, yeah, like, we've done this before, Joker.
But see, you can see, even in this scene, where the cutscene bits are and what parts you would play.
That's what I mean. Like,
you keep fighting him for a little bit, and then it
scene.
stops, and you got the rousing music, and this bit, man, when they clung foreheads, that's so cool.
This is like a multi-part boss fight where like you bring his health down, you get like a little cutscene, then you fight him again, and you get a little cutscene, you fight him again.
There's parts of it that are like oh, what do you call it when it puts up the buttons you have to press?
Oh, the QuickTime event.
Like a QuickTime event. So I couldn't think of it.
X X X X X X X X.
There's definitely QuickTime events in this.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the smile on the hilt that looks like chattering teeth. That's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't catch it until he knocked the sword out of his hand the first time.
But yeah, I love that we get a classic roof fight.
I was wondering if they were going to do, you know, like the kind of classic Joker thing where he's maybe going to get hit by the sword and die, but then like come back, or like, you know, have that implication that he's still alive.
I guess the only thing that sucks is that as thrilling as this roof fight is, most of what you're watching is not him actually fighting Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, no, because there's gameplay between it.
Well, that's not what I mean. When he gets stabbed, he didn't actually stab Batman.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, I have no idea what's happening at this point. Like, now he just has the ability to, like, poof into bats?
Well, was it just the same thing as the giant bat, but just in microcosm, where, like, he can still get bats to do that? Can they just form... Is that what's happening?
I have no idea. Maybe. I feel like it's supposed to be like he's learned his ninja skills, so it's like...
Welcome to a Rewind commentary. We have no idea what the hell is happening.
Like I said, there are two big things in this where I don't know what's happening. It's this, and it's when they're all on the boat and it explodes. Like, I think it's just he's a full ninja now, so he's like one with the bats where he can like move amongst them, I guess. But it's...
I mean, that's cool and all. I don't know how he did that. There's no training montage. Story-wise...
the way that it looks, he just like explodes into bats. Like,
story-wise,
like
what you should have done is said, well, I can't rely on my gadgets anymore. I'm going to have to go back to training. And he's got like a month to do it. So all you had to do was say that's what he spent his month doing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's in there.
No. There also should be a scene where he sits on a bat and he goes, "Oh no, I think I just killed my ancestor."
Sorry, I gotta say this. This is a great example of Batman's no-kill rule only works because his name is in the title. Because as soon as he throws his rope down, you gotta be expecting the Gwen Stacy neck snap, right? Like, Joker could die here in like 5 different ways. He could catch on fire, he could die of asphyxiation, he could have his neck snapped, the rope could break. Like, there's so many different ways he could die right now. And then Batman would be like, oh crap, I guess I killed him.
Yeah, when it's also just the ending of The Dark Knight.
Yes. No, it is. Which maybe is on purpose, because like you said, he was looking a little bit more ledgery anyway, and
yeah,
they're having the same
I was like
philosophical debate.
Mm-hmm. No, because I never really thought about it that much in the
Robin
Dark
has
Knight,
to say goodbye to his pet monkey, and I almost expected it to be like Ninja Turtles 3, where he thinks about staying so that he can stay with his pet monkey.
Well, like I said a minute ago, there should have been a part where Batman like sits on a bed and goes, "Oh no, I think I just killed my ancestors." But no, I had that exact same thought that you had, and then I went, wait a minute, that's just the ending of The Dark Knight. It's also dumb there. How did he know he could have done that? It could have gone wrong so easily.
Robert says, I think it's a ninja technique reference, the disappear and replace with something else to avoid an attack. Watching it yesterday, I couldn't tell if it was a decoy the whole time or if it was just when he got stabbed. But I guess it must have been that.
Hmm.
And then he kept doing it. And now it's purple again, like the whole movie should have been.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know that part.
I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I'm really not, honestly. Now, Austin, the opening, the brief bit in Gotham fighting... oh, now we got the Paramount logo with the bat symbol on top of it. That's cool. But the opening...
But now it's really the Paramount logo because the bats are the stars that like fly in and go over the mountain.
Okay, can you explain something to me?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't, but I'm going to ask anyway.
I mean, we'll see.
Why the hell are Gordon and Bullock all over these closing credits when they're not in this film?
Because there's a whole subplot that we didn't get to see where they're hanging out in the Batcave, and Gordon's like, "Oh no, I feel like Batman's in danger. I can tell he's been stabbed in the heart."
That could have been like Ninja Turtles 3 also, where we
That's what I'm
switched.
yeah,
where we switched places with somebody from feudal Japan and brought them into the Batcave with Gordon.
Or
see,
he's
like all over. Why is he here? He's not in this movie.
He's like holding a whip and stuff too. And there's the bat signal. He shined it in feudal Japan.
So did they make an after credits and then cut all his stuff, but left, or not an after credits, a credit sequence, cut all of his stuff from the movie, and then just left the art the same?
That was just the first thing they made, yeah.
And he's not just in one panel, he's in like 4 panels.
He's in most of it. It's mostly from his POV.
That Bruce Wayne smiling and laughing thing is almost nightmare fuel. Like, it's kind of hard to look at.
There's something weird about that Bruce Wayne design. It reminds me of...
He's got a giant chin.
Yeah, he reminds me of, I think it's Harvey Dent in the Telltale games. There's someone in that he reminds me of.
So much of this mid-credits is just okay. And
I like Catwoman's cat helmet.
Yeah, like that's cool.
And her license plate is 9 lives. That's fun.
I like the sort of pseudo 89 like
Joker
cars. Like that's cool. I don't understand why we did this. And then it hits that car, which is funny.
What an a-hole.
This Batman's both stupid and
He's
a
not
jerk
even in
face.
costume in the Batmobile. He's just drinking tea.
Well, he just assumes nobody's going to look in, I guess, you know.
There's a hole.
I know. This Batman's not that worried about a secret identity.
Apparently.
He's like Jeff Johns' New 52 Batman. Just immediately starts taking his mask off in front of people. So, here's another superficial complaint. We get that kind of upbeat J-pop thing during the mech fight, which comes out of absolute nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But especially with all the cool, like, titles for things that we're getting through this, where we just stop everything, we're like, now it's Ninja Batman, you know, and with the villains and stuff. I would have liked an actual, like, J-pop theme and a pseudo opening, like, for an anime show with this. I would have really liked to see that, because we do that with movies a lot with anime also. I would have liked to have seen that.
They should have done Kiss from a Rose, but with that flute.
You're right. It shouldn't have been the 60s Batman. It should have been Kiss from the Rose. And they would not have had the rights for that.
That's okay. It's done on a flute. Seal will never notice.
I guess they don't have to worry about YouTube's copyright. They're not going to put it on YouTube.
Yeah, if you can do it with wind chimes, you can get away with doing it on a flute. It's fine.
That's a good point. Okay, I'm gonna go back and figure out what she said instead
Yeah, I'm
of
already back. I
action.
remember exactly where it was, so I'm like a minute before, but I'm kind of waiting to see what Harley says here.
Oh wait, I thought you were gonna look for the other one.
No, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So I'm in charge of that other one.
Oh yeah, so she runs in when Batman starts fighting Joker, and she just screams "Mr. J," and the subtitle just says "Pudding No."
For what part? Now I can't remember which one you were talking about.
The one I'm talking about is right before that. It's Batman and Joker start fighting, and then it cuts to Harley right before Catwoman whips her, and she screams "Mr. J," but the English version is "Pudding No." But since I'm watching it subtitled,
Pudding No,
it just doesn't match.
Austin, well, because I'm not finding it right away. Since you're there anyway, skip forward and see if you can figure out what the Catwoman line is.
Well, I won't be able to see because it's
Oh no, I have to do it.
yeah. I just have
Because
time
you want to know
for
what the
girl on
Japanese
girl action.
script was. I'm sorry. I'm
No, it's
understanding
okay.
now. I mean, I understood it earlier, but I briefly forgot. Hold on.
No, you're okay. It's imperative we find out.
Okay, is it before or after all the mech robot fighting?
It's after. It's like right after the mech fighting, when Batman comes in off of the giant fist, and he's talking to Joker. We do the flashback, and then they like go at each other, and then it cuts to Harley and Catwoman.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And the line
Oh,
I
there's
was talking,
Puddin' No.
yeah,
I
it's
got that.
the immediate line before that line. Like both lines are back to back. It's even funnier.
Wow.
What?
Wow. You're gonna love it. You're
What
gonna
is it?
love it. So, the most provocative, ridiculous line in the movie in the American version. She says it's time for some girl-on-girl action. The Japanese original script says, "I'm your opponent."
Oh my god, that's beautiful.
It's so good. I'm your opponent.
I mean, that is correct.
Dude, I was honestly worried this commentary would be a little bit dull. This was so much fun.
This was worth it just to find that out.
That's amazing. I'm your opponent. And then it makes a lot more sense when she's like, "Why are you licking me and crap?"
Yeah, so
Quit
was your
it.
opponent. Stop. Quit
I'm
it.
just your opponent. I'm not your lover. Quit it.
I'm not your lover. Stop. I'm your opponent.
Okay, well now we're gonna go into
Beautiful.
tweet length reviews. As always, if you'd like to leave these, have your reviews read on air, and have us talk about them, patreon.com/geekvolution. You can send in a tweet length review at the $5 tier. And you can become a Patreon producer at the $10 tier, which gets you more perks, like sometimes helping us pick movies for review and hanging out with us on Discord. And Austin didn't get a lot for this one.
Yeah, I think we only have one. Oh no, two. On Discord. I don't know about
Okay, let me
Patreon.
check and see if there's any on Patreon.
I think there's one. At least there's one I looked earlier, unless there's been more.
And this is on me because I didn't get this out until yesterday, so apologies to everybody for that. Not that
I feel like a lot of these animated ones people don't typically know super well, so they don't really leave one.
which
But we
is
were-
fair enough. But look, they're technically movies, so we technically have to do them. I'll go ahead and read the Patreon one, and then you can do the Discords if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Joe Turner, this movie is very stupid. And I don't know how Bruce's hair regenerates from the tonsure he wore it as in his disguise. I don't either. I have
We
that
may
question
never know.
myself. However, it ends with Samurai Batman and Samurai Joker having a sword fight on top of a mecha castle, so it's a superhero. Austin, I loved that review.
Very thorough.
That was an excellent review.
You summed it up.
I don't think I can disagree with any of that. Yeah, I think that is a perfectly reasonable rating based on that review. Excellent. All right, Austin, what couple reviews did we get on Discord there?
So, Subject 879 or John, he says, in concept, I like this movie, but it never really comes together for me, and despite the crazy stuff on screen, I'm left not caring about any of it. Rating villain.
Ooh, that's low.
Yeah. Also, John, punctuation, my guy.
Come on, John. Go to the comma store.
And then Lord GB says, so bad it's good. And that's it, no score.
I don't know if I can disagree with that either.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know if I would say bad. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's stupid, so I guess I guess it is. I guess on a story level, on like a traditional Rewind story level, like yeah, it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
it's always about what it's after too, you know. All right, well, should we go ahead and get into our ratings here, and then we'll get to ranking, and figure out where we're gonna put it on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah, I still have to do that.
Oh man, I'm ahead of you this time. I already did mine.
Oh wow! I mean, I can do it while we're talking.
Look at me, I'm so special.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Nice shooting, Tex.
I'm your opponent, Austin. What is your rating going to be
Greatest
for this
line
movie?
of dialogue of all time. So I feel like,
and you got to tell me if it's going to move after our discussion.
100% it will. I feel like when I watched it on my own, I was more on the villain side. I will give it a hero based on watching it together. That's probably where I'm at.
I'll second that. I'm right there with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the more than thin story, and this being, ostensibly a show about narrative analysis, I don't feel like I can go as high as superhero. As much fun as it was doing this with you, because it doesn't make a good enough case for how thin it is in that format.
Mm-hmm.
But I had too good of a time with it while talking about it with somebody.
Yeah, I agree. And I had a much harder watch alone than I did just doing it here. So I agree completely.
Yeah.
Now I know this is the way to watch it.
Yep. Maybe we should do the next one as a blind commentary.
Oh, for Yakuza. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, for Yakuza. Because that's probably a more fun watch. If it's anything like this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, probably.
That may be the way to do that. Okay, I forgot to set this up so that you guys can see it. So give me just a minute.
Oh no.
With that. I know I keep doing that.
That's okay.
So now it's all black again. Apologies there, guys.
As Sonic the Hedgehog said, live and learn. Except he didn't say that, but the game did.
Is that a diaper commercial?
If a diaper commercial played the Sonic Adventure Live and Learn song over it, that would be the greatest commercial of all time.
Live and learn and then get loves? Is that a diaper? No, it's not loves. What is it? Not a diaper commercial. It's a...
Live and learn and get love.
No, I think it's a paper towel commercial. But I can't remember what the brand is.
Sounds like a poorly translated commercial.
Well, that's appropriate for this. Austin,
Live and learn, and I am your opponent.
I don't know what I'm saying. Apologies. I ranked this movie, and I think even based on this viewing, this is still probably where I put this, Austin. Mm-hmm. I put it on my list at number 19.
Here, I'll pull up your list so I can see it.
Say again?
Oh, no, I was just saying, here, I'll pull up your list so I can see it.
Cool. I put it between Hercules and Punisher Warzone.
Okay.
I couldn't bring myself to put it any higher than that because we had a really good watch of Hercules. Mm-hmm. And Daredevil's just kind of, Daredevil's Daredevil for me. I can't go any higher than that.
And that's respectable.
Yeah, and I think quite respectable given that we've done 34 of these. Mm-hmm. So that's right in the middle.
Yeah, I feel like we're, right around the same side? Let me see, where did I put it? Okay, mine's a little bit lower, but there's also a few of these I like a lot more than you do.
Sure. Okay, so I'm going to refresh yours so I can figure out where you put it.
But we both put it like 1 or 2 under Gods and Monsters.
Mine was at 19. You have yours at 24.
Mm-hmm.
And you put it between Return of the Joker because you're a crazy person and that movie is way better than that, but whatever. And Above the Phantom, which is
fine.
Fair. And I had a rough watch for those Hellboy movies. I'm having a hard time going higher than those.
Well, and I'm questioning if I should lower Gods and Monsters in the 2 Hellboy movies, because At least Gods and Monsters. That one's not sticking with me as well.
Dude, I remember like nothing that happens in that.
No, I know, which is why I'm looking at it and I'm like, does it
And
belong
you
there? Should it
watched it.
maybe drop a little bit because of
That's
that?
that's the one of these that I did with a different co-host. I did that with Kareem,
Hmm.
and you watched it way more recently than me, and you still can't remember what happened in it.
All I remember is Batman was a vampire.
And I think that's the one with President Deathstroke.
I don't even remember that. Oh no. Either I'm
Wow.
dementia ridden or it's not especially memorable.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it fine.
Yeah, I was like kind of indifferent. I was like, this is fine.
Robert Bedell movie runs on pure nonsensium, that's a word now, but is a fun beer night movie with your friends to riff along to. Yeah, I mean, that's the
Agreed.
experience we just had with it, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you're a new
100%.
viewer, thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us. Or maybe that's more of a lurker that knew a lot about this movie, so decided to comment. But regardless, it's been nice chatting with you this evening, and thanks for popping in. And watch him come back and be like, no, I talk to you all the time, Cap. Why don't you remember my name?
And if you're watching this, always remember, we are your opponents.
If you're watching this, always remember, it's time for some girl-on-girl action.
It's time for a little viewer on YouTube reaction.
Am I overstating this? That is the funniest thing that's happened here. In a
No, that
while.
is genuinely one of the funniest translations I've ever heard. That's amazing.
I am so glad we went back and checked. And I'm actually glad we didn't catch it in the first place because it let us stop everything.
Hmm. No, I agree. Because if we caught it in the first place, we would have had to like stop everything during like major important parts.
We would have lost the rest of the comedy. We would have talked about the roof fight. Oh my god.
No, and I knew the second I saw that line, I was like, that's not what it is in
I
Japanese.
feel like this
It's gotta be
commentary
something
has
better.
justified my purchase of the Steelbook. That's
They should release a version that's like a new dub where they say exactly what the translation is, and it can just be called the "I'm your opponent" cut.
yeah, and they should include our commentary on the disc.
They should just get us to dub it. We can
Oh
do
yeah,
it.
absolutely.
That'd be perfect.
Yeah, but then which of us gets to say I'm your opponent?
I feel like we're gonna have to flip a coin on that one.
We gotta flip a coin. I'm gonna wipe the half smile off your face. Okay, well that was
Well, then you have Joker where he's like, "I'm a demon king."
that was just lovely. I enjoyed everything about that. So yeah, we're both hero on that one.
Hmm. No, that was a lot better watching it together. 100% how it was made to be watched.
Yeah, I can't go to villain, but I can't in good conscience go all the way to superhero either.
Hmm.
Although if this was a video game, it's a legend. Come
I mean,
on.
probably.
Come on now. Right?
Yeah, no, this is probably like an all-time game.
Okay, we made a wheel again. A couple wheels in a row. But this time we to choose our movie for next time, and so we don't know what it is yet. Once again, we're gonna spin in real time and find out. And we let our Patreon producers pick some selections for this one. We only had a few guys do this, so it's gonna look like a pretty hefty wheel. But we let each of them pick 5 distinct movies.
Yeah, because I think last time we did it, it was like everyone throw in a movie, and we didn't get like a ton of people. So I was like, maybe get them to throw in like 5.
No, that's smart. So there are some intentionally bad movies on this list. There's a lot of stuff that I've done quite a bit of material on in the past, but we haven't done officially for the Rewind project yet. There are a couple of really big heavy hitters on here, and nothing super obscure except for Return of Captain Invincible, which is not obscure for me and Austin, and we've been waiting for an excuse for that. So if that comes up, I'll be very happy.
Is that your big like? This is what I'm gunning for.
Let's take a look at it. I know you can't see my screen right now.
Yeah, it's all good.
Give me a second. Okay,
I can
so
imagine the wheel.
yeah, I guess the other kind of weird outlier here is Valerian, because I don't even know that should count, but for some reason we put it on our list.
Yeah, well, when the person who suggested it, Super Billy, said it, I was like, I don't think that's on the list. And he was like, no, it
Then
is.
he schooled us. He took a screenshot and looked. Here's where it is, jerk face.
And
So
Cap and I were both like, well, neither of us really mind doing it, but at the same time, like, why did we put it on the list?
Gotham Knight is here, which would be a really odd follow up to
Oh,
what we
weird.
just
I
did.
did catch somebody put that on.
If that comes up, yeah. So yeah, I think Captain Invincible is probably the one I'm most uh, hoping will pop up.
Mhm.
I'm saying that, not seeing it on the list. Oh, there it is. Hancock is here for some reason
Oh no.
because I think somebody picked nothing but bad movies.
Yeah, I remember one person did that, and I was like, "Oh, that's." I have no like preference. I just have a preference not to have some of those bad ones.
Well, and the big preference for well, and the Crow's on here. This would be a good time to do that. The just to get it in this year, yeah, after the remake.
Oh, Rise of the Silver Surfer, Venom, and Fant Four Stick were the three that he put on. Where I'm like, I don't want to have to do those.
I was gonna say Venom 2 is the big one I
Or
hope
Venom
doesn't
2.
come up, and that might be the thing that has me selecting someone else to run my channel from now on. So have fun doing Venom 2 with a different co-host, Austin. All right, are you ready to find out?
Yeah, I mean, out of those three, I'd probably rather do Venom 2 than Silver Surfer and Fant Four Stick. But yeah, I'm ready to find out.
That movie pissed me off more than either of those other two movies. Why isn't Catwoman on this wheel? I actually kind of wish that was here.
Yeah, well, I've never seen that.
I know
I've only seen the
that's why I
best
wish it was
ones.
here. I want to watch you watch that. All right,
That's
here we
the
go.
only one you're like, we're doing it blind. Okay, here we go.
Here comes the spin. I know I'm kind of stalling because I'm a little scared. This is a Russian
I'm also scared
roulette.
about Incredibles too. But,
Oh, that you know what? Me too. This is a bit of a Russian roulette wheel here
mm,
because there's some good ones, but there's some stinkers, and it's kind of half and half. Really, it's an interesting wheel, and also like Superman and Superman 2 are here. Like there's some heavy hitters.
yeah. No, and Super Billy also put on the Downey Sherlock Holmes movie. I'd like to rewatch that.
Yeah.
You're right. It is a Russian roulette. We got some good suggestions.
You know, if Batman Forever comes up, we finally have to go through that whole ordeal together because I like that movie and you don't.
Very true.
All right, here we go. Here it comes. Here comes the madness, and oh no!
Oh no! Don't
It's
say that.
Hancock!
No!
No!
Not Hancock.
Well, we had to do it at some point. It could have been worse.
Your nose could be gushing with blood.
I feel like we dodged some silver bullets and got hit in the face with a rubber bullet. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I'm proud of that metaphor.
If only you had a good food one, though.
Oh, yeah. I haven't done a good food metaphor in a while. Those are harder just like right off the top of your head.
It's like you avoided getting hit with a steak in the face and instead got hit with an orange. And you got citrus in your eye.
Man, how do you come up with these gems on the spot like that? That's amazing.
I don't know. They just come to me. Like a steak to the face.
So Hancock next time, I'm sure everyone's gonna be so excited. I had kind of prices right. In my head there. Once again, if you want to help us out with the show, become a Patreon producer. Just sign up to Patreon in general. Just the $2 tier gets you some cool perks. But you can become a Patreon producer at the $10 tier. One of the perks you get there is I'm going to dramatically read your name at the end of every episode of the Superhero Rewind Commentary Project, which I'm going to do right this very moment. And I'm going to start.
Now you have to do it in a Japanese accent that everyone will cancel you for because it's Batman Ninja.
Yeah, no, you're right. They're gonna cancel me. Let me practice the voice first. It would start with it would have to be the guy that's like Joker. So I had to do that, and then
Hot soup.
Hot soup. Yeah, I think I would get canceled if I did that. Should I do that?
Probably.
I don't think I'm gonna do that.
Go for it.
I'm not gonna do it for every one of these. Okay, so I'm gonna start at the bottom this time and work my way up. I haven't done that in a while. So we got Wendell Jones. It's gonna be really hard not to. Wendell Jones.
Dr. Jones, they will be found.
The Day Ghost.
Now you're just Mr. Aziz.
Ghost. We got Miguel Rodriguez. We got Michael Martin, Matthew Brody, MattMatt68, Kate, Kareem Roberts, John Sandoval, Invisipig, Hot Soup. We got Damon Begay, Adam March, Avic Stark, Victor, Vic Apocalypse, Super Billy, John Matthew McLean, Jojira, Joe Turner, Goofster123. Oh, I can't. I have to do it for this one. Doctor, hello, Chewbacca's Lover, Jesse Surtees, and Breezy Hemi. That was just delightful. Now I want to do that for every one of these.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Austin,
you're canceled though. That's the last video on the channel.
I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. I think being canceled, this being the last Superhero Rewind commentary we'll ever make, justifies the purchase of the Steelbook.
The last thing everyone should hear from us is, "I am your opponent."
The last thing anyone should hear from us is hot soup.
Soup.
Man, this has been a fun evening.
Yeah, it's been a good one.
Appreciate you, man. All right, well, everybody, join us again next week for Hancock. And Austin and I are. Austin, are you good for another video, or do you need to get going?
No, I'm perfectly fine.
Okay, for those of you, once again, dating the commentary, for those of you that are hanging out with us right now live and you want to come back, in about 10-15 minutes, we will do another hour at least of our top 100 favorite superhero movies of all time, and which is hilarious because that will be 2 videos in a row that open with Rewind music. And in the meantime, I was Captain Logan, and this was Austin the Day Ghost.
I don't know why you're saying we're dating the commentary. I feel like this is going to be one of those moments in human history where you say, like, hey, remember the Batman Ninja commentary? And you know exactly where you were the day you saw it. No, it's that important.
That's exactly right. Yeah. We've etched it in history.
Exactly.
This movie might have just been a hero. But I'm going to file this commentary under legend. See you later.
Opponent.
See you later. See you later, folks. Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.